Hey, welcome back to Nerdbeardia. We've had a bit of a change in our name and what we're going to focus on for videos. I also apologize if you hear like a click or a cling noise during the recording. I have a cough drop in my mouth to avoid missing my deadline, so my apologies for the little clicks and dings you may hear. Today we're going to talk about the Prince of Pen Island himself, Slaanesh. Behold Slaanesh, also known as Shernor, Shornau, the Dark Prince, the Lord of Excess, Leviathan, Lord of the Labyrinth, the Sweet Transvestite, the Lusty Argonian Maid, and the Colossal Pervert, the Ultimate Trap, and multiple other names. Slaanesh is the chaos god of perversion, hentai, shamelessness, excess, and most disgusting pop music in the history of ever. Heretical fat guys cannot resist the most disgusting heresy of masturbating furiously to Slaanesh and their demonettes. Slaanesh was born, actively began to do shit rather than just being some nebulous, mostly passive entity in the warp, at the fall of the Eldar, and all their torture, rape, S&M, bondage, and decadence eventually tore the fabric of reality a new one and gave birth to Slaanesh along with the Eye of Terror, killing the majority of their race. Thus, the final Chaos God is known as the one that was literally murder-fucked into existence. As a result, Slaanesh owns almost every last Eldar soul in the entire galaxy. In the event of an Eldar dying without a spirit stone, he or she becomes Slaanesh's sex toy for all of eternity, day and night, forever and ever, excluding Exodites, whose soul will automatically go to their planet's world spirit, and Harlequins, who are scooped up by the great clown himself, and the faithful of Ynid. That is why Eldar are willing to manipulate entire worlds into exterminating each other just to save one of their own. The Dark Eldar take this up to 11 by sacrificing other souls to Slaanesh so that they don't get eaten. Khorne hates Slaanesh because he, or perhaps she, or both, it is Slaanesh, is a prissy little shit. But Slaanesh is concerned with the other Chaos Gods only insofar as they can be a diverting plaything. Rumor has it that their relationship is beyond hate, and occasional angry sex are just that. Khorne certainly is not telling. Of course, that paragraph is Slaanesh's 40k history. In fantasy battles, Slaanesh has no real backstory, and sort of just came out of nowhere like the other Chaos Gods. Among other things, Slaanesh is the god of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Slaanesh is fueled by excess and pleasure, which means gratuitous amounts of anything generally fall under its influence. This actually becomes a big problem for Khorne, the god emperor of mankind, and the other Chaos Gods, whose worshippers have to constantly try to not enjoy themselves too much, lest they end up feeding the warp's whipping bitch, especially when the Inquisition is all too enthusiastic about whipping heretics. Many horny juveniles who have just found Warhammer seem to be obsessed with Slaanesh being a goddess of sexual pleasure. While fluff claims this is not true, in practical terms, Slaanesh is the deity of pleasure, which can be broad. Pleasure can be derived from various sources. As such, this can be anything from sex, eating, companionship, and so on and so forth. However, because chaos is chaos, Slaanesh is mostly associated with the extremes of pleasure. Lechery, gluttony, extreme masochism, and the likes are the pleasures their followers partake in because Slaanesh's credo is to experience everything to the fullest. This basically means, why settle for one loving wife to have sex with when you can have a whole hive world of loving concubines who satiate your desires? Or why eat one disgustingly expensive luxury meal when you can eat a paradise world supply of the stuff? Why just resort to cutting yourself to feel the pleasure of pain when you could be chopping off lumps of your flesh to heighten the sensation of pain? Numerous examples of 40k lore have made it apparent that while those who fall to Slaanesh might start off with a desire to fulfill their rather run-of-the-mill baser instincts, it always spirals out of control. For example, in the novel Shadow Sword, a young nobleman makes a deal with a devilish creature so that he can possess and sleep with his lady love, who is also his first cousin. By the time all is said and done, a grand party to welcome the forces of chaos to their world turns into a charnel scene where the guests imagine themselves to be dancing and enjoying fine food and drink. But in reality, they are tearing each other apart with their bare hands and engaging in cannibalism. Others believe that they are embracing, when their bodies and flesh are literally melding together. These are the types of scenes that truly grant Slaanesh power. One would think that if, as claimed, Slaanesh was the lord of all pleasure, then Slaanesh would be omnipotent because, in the end, biological and psychological fact tells us that every living thing with a fucking neuron acts in order to feel pleasure and escape pain, the pleasure principle. However, the point of Slaanesh is not to just revel in any pain or pleasure, but to gain power from exposing mortals to the types of experiences that a sane person could not and would not ever be able to imagine in the first place. For all but the very strongest and most devout, this pollutes and twists their very souls to such an extent that they remain enthralled to Slaanesh forever. Such horizons of experience and sensation are far, far beyond the predictable inclinations and fetishes of your typical 4chan fat guy. Even Khorne, Slaanesh's primary rival, feels pleasure in killing, and Tzeentch feels pleasure in just as planned. That's why 40k lore tends to focus on Slaanesh as a god of the most disgusting pleasures ever, not as a god of all pleasure. Additionally, in the fluff, it does state that most pleasures, like regular love or the desire to eat, that might be covered under the pleasure principle are too weak to sustain Slaanesh. Slaanesh being usually named the god of excess is more that they gain power from overindulging in the small things like sex and eating, which in 40k is actually more rare than people would think. Considering that it's damn hard for anyone to get more than a piece of stale toast and a dry hand job before a grueling 48 hours of avoiding death in the name of the Emperor in the far corner of some forgotten Forge world, the only way to get enough sex, drugs, and partying in to impress Slaanesh on your average Imperial world is to be a ruthless, controlling, evil bastard. It is worth noting that Games Workshop seems to have picked up somewhat on this fact. As of the latest Demon Codex, it does mention that Slaanesh has a particular way of influencing the other Chaos Gods, and that they are all weary of him, given that they draw some strength from the extreme behaviors they promote in their followers and are subject to themselves. Slaanesh is also associated with the arts and creativity, as creativity means pursuing one's own personal desires. Self-indulgence and personal expression are the bedrock of the arts, after all. Those attracted to Slaanesh could theoretically be more than just aristocratic ravers, but also particularly eccentric artists, writers, etc. Slaanesh is sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the purest sense of the word, not just the orgy after the concert, but the brilliant concert that caused the orgy to begin with. One could assume that, in order to prevent Slaanesh's influence from spreading, the Imperium of Man would censor not just content but style. A radically structured poem, a painting with hints of sexual content, even a deviation from traditional court structures would presumably bring the Inquisition to your doorstep. If Slaanesh had a voice actor, it would be Tim Curry and or Tilda Swinton. In the new Age of Sigmar setting, Slaanesh has gone missing. Tyrion and Malloran worked together to capture Slaanesh, unknowingly helped along by the machinations of Tzeentch. Thus, Slaanesh has been removed from the pantheon of chaos and replaced by the Horned Rat. Derp. While it was thought Slaanesh was being kept in his hidden warehouse while Tyrion works him/her over to make Slaanesh give back Alethra's soul, this is revealed to be mostly true. There was speculation that Slaanesh had been removed as an active part of Age of Sigmar in some attempts by Games Workshop to make the game more accessible to children. Somehow, they fail to take into account that an incredibly grimdark game, with very complicated rules, and such a high price of entry, isn't going to be popular among kiddies anyway. They may be doing this so parents won't be put off by the game and be willing to buy it for their children, and to get past the media watchdogs to make the game more mainstream. But that most likely won't work due to reasons discussed on Games Workshop's page here. Yet hope for Slaanesh faction lovers still remains. With Slaanesh missing, his forces have split among those trying to find and free Slaanesh. They refer to themselves as Seekers. Those who are trying to claim their former master's position, they are referred to as Pretenders, and consist of every Chaos Lord and Keeper of Secrets that wants to claim their former master's position as a new god of depravity, and those who have continued to be allied to Archaon in his wars against the mortal realms, who are referred to as Invaders. The last faction is currently the biggest and is the main Slaanesh force fighting order. It is mostly being led by Slaanesh's greater demons, who lead Slaanesh's demonic and mortal followers, but some have actually looked to venerating Archaon as a replacement deity. With the release of the Daughter of Cain Battle Tomb, it's revealed that Slaanesh has been trapped in the void between Ø ⱡł Ⱨ realm of shadows, and Hysh, realm of light. by the collective work of Tirion and Teclis, now gods of the Hysh, Malerion, god of shadow, and Morathi. There the elf gods are slowly taking back the elf souls the Chaos God had devoured after the end of times, reforging them to their liking, while Slaanesh is trapped in a position that will make it impossible for him to escape. That is, unless Morathi casts a spell to get more souls than it was initially planned for her to receive. A spell that would weaken the chains that are keeping Slaanesh trapped, which of course, she did. Now Slaanesh is ever so slowly getting further from Hysh and closer to Ø ⱡł Ⱨ which enabled Slaanesh's followers to learn where he was. The only things standing in their way are the fact that they can't reach Slaanesh's prison, the elf gods, and their forces. Even then, Slaanesh might eventually be able to free itself. With the announcement of Realm of Chaos, Wrath and Rapture, it appears GW is ready to bring Slaanesh back to the 40k and Age of Sigmar universes, along with a demonic host of new models. And this did come to pass, though it isn't as grand as many would have hoped. It has been revealed that the 66 chains holding Slaanesh, real subtle GW, can be broken by certain depraved or powerful acts, i.e., an excess of anger from Khorne, or storm hosts turning on the people they protect, which did happen and was engineered by Slaanesh taking a leaf from Tzeentch's book. Having broken a handful of chains, Slaanesh has casted illusions to prevent the elves from discovering this, and if the majority of chains get shattered, Slaanesh will be strong enough to break the rest. If Slaanesh did ever escape, he would immediately try and engulf all of Ø ⱡł Ⱨ in Hysh, securing 2 whole realms and thereby winning the great game, though Khorne would object violently, as would Archaon. And that's the end of part 1 of this video series. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you go down below in the comments section and let us know the kind of things you want to listen to, the kind of things you want us to talk about, and what you think of what we're doing. We do love feedback in any shape or form, whether it's about me being a shit voice actor or y'all enjoying the subject matter of the video. Also be sure to like and subscribe to Nerdbeardia, so that way you can know and enjoy the other videos we have coming out through the week. And be sure to click the bell icon so you know when they're released. This has been Guard Bro, and I will see you next time.